silent roll call already. So we've already got that in your agenda and in your packet. You have a copy of the minutes from the last meeting and also the treasurer's report. I'll give you just a few seconds to look over that, and then we'll make a motion to look through that and approve that. While you're looking at that, I'll go ahead and welcome and thank our visitors for being here today. We do have Natasha Prolak from In-Home Care, Tabitha Hibbins from Farmers Insurance of Southwest Virginia, Pam Vance from Part of Appalachia, Jason Barton from Heritage Hall, Becky Joyce from UVAY, Ernie Bico and T-Bone from RCD, and Brandon Tester from Tester Chiropractic. So that's our visitors here that are not on the board. Thank you very much for coming. And we'll also have the owners of Sugar Hill Brewery to get up and say a few words here in a few minutes. We'll have those. Does anybody have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes, or any questions about the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, second. Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, likewise? So right now, before we start with Lou Wallace, Lou's right here. She's going to do our program today. Tell us a bunch of wonderful stuff that's going on here in St. Paul. We'll have Greg and his wife get up and tell us about the brewery, about what's going on here. You can see we've got a lot going on. So Greg, you want to get up and say a few words?
First of all, I have an award to make. Whoever sat in that chair back here is going to get a free glass, but nobody said so. They said the closest one, so. All right. Wait a minute. This is a special day. We do sell the glasses, and they're $5 a piece. If you want to buy a glass today, it's on for chamber. If you bring it back, we open it, we'll fill it for you for free. So you're actually buying a drink today. We're not giving you a free drink. So, if you want to do that. And this cupcake is one of the things we may have on our menu. This is called Sweet Baby Jesus. And the reason that is the beer that this was made of is a chocolate peanut butter porter. And the brewing company was Sweet Baby Jesus Brewing Company. I hope you all enjoy it. It's very good. Carrie, our general manager, is the one that made the cupcakes. Beside Carrie back here, we have Ken Leonard. He's our head brewer. He's from Norton. Wonderful boy. He's had several years of experience with Wolf Hills. So. We have hats. This was the first hat off the press today. We also have some shirts that will be available. And just a little bit about this whole process. We started 2 years ago next month. My son brought some beer to town. We gave it away at the Sugar Days and we left beer. So we went on our porch that night, 7 o'clock, 20-some-year-olds about to start the brewery. We own the building. We want to have the brewery in the basement. And the wise 20-some-year-olds were sitting like this. We said, how much is it going to cost us? At $30,000. I said, we can do that. We can do $30,000. With the help of Tim Blankenbeck, we're now somewhere around 420 total or something like that. So we learned a lot from this whole process. You might go into business with a 20-year-old son. But this is expanded and expanded. I think it's as big as this one yet. We're going to have our kitchen area back here in the back. We have circles on the floor. These are fermenters. We're going to have from that window all the way back to that wall. It's going to be brewing equipment. So, pretty major process for us. We're going to have be distributing right off the bat as soon as we get a beverage person. Our seating area over here is going to be like 49 people. Don't tell the building inspectors or anything. It's probably more than that. We said 49. architectural drawings does not show live music. So,
Weekend, stay open, say?
Our brewing equipment was supposed to be here this week. It's not gonna be here this week, it's gonna be here sometime at the end of next month. So we accidentally applied for a license that allows us to serve beer anyway. It'll have to be our beer. So as soon as we get the kitchen ready, get the health department to approve it, then we'll be set up to sell beer. We're gonna have a 320 square foot cold room in the back. We'll be tapping straight out the cold room, and we'll have a little bar area in front of it. But, the restaurant is going to be unique. We had Carrie prepared for us our brisket. We're going to have brisket sandwich, homemade chips. We're going to have chicken and waffle sandwich. If you're on Facebook, we posted that tonight. And what else unusual, Carrie?
Well, we're going to have some, we're going to try and source where we can some local produce and provide some salads and healthy options as well. We've got your typical burgers and wings, but then we're also going to do a twist on those, like a pimento cheeseburger or a brisket burger. We're going to set, like Greg says, our house-made chips with homemade dipping sauces for them. So we're going to do a lot of those kinds of things in-house. We've got a frito pie, which we tried the other day. It's actually really good. So we're going to try and have some fun fare, that's kind of upscale with a twist, but not the same twist that you won't enjoy eating it. And then have some specials as well, like salmon and steak on the menu. So.
You're going to have to-go orders. And right now our business hours are going to be Wednesday through Sunday. Depending on what happens with the Oxbow Center, Becky, and UVA Wise, we may have to expand our hours. So
What center?
Wednesday through Sunday.
No, what's that, something center?
Oxbow Center. It's a very large building in St. Paul. UVA Wise is considered a building being converted into something. So
UVA Wise is going to have a satellite.
hopefully.
Huh.
Are you
The walls are like this. This was a Facebook debate. I like the wall like that over there, so that's why it's like that. I was working my way down this way, and Jennifer came in. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm stripping the walls." And she said, "Leave some." So we left some. And so this is finished. The walls-
Oh, really?
Yeah. Raise the hands who likes this better. Any other questions? And we'll be here after the meeting's over with, so if you want more detail on what's going on, we'll be glad to. We do have an operating bathroom, we only have one, so it is usable. Monday I came in and told contractor, I said, there was an open commode sitting. I said, I really need some walls at my Thursday. So that's what we have. So I'm gonna turn back over, Rick, y'all ask me anything afterwards.
I have to say, Greg's got the most colorful shoes on than anybody.
Always.
Always. And also, Greg's got his side-by-side right out here. If anybody wants to take a ride.
Advertising.
Yeah, advertising on the side. Wonderful, wonderful things going on here. And again, I'm sure Greg and Jennifer will hang around, his staff will hang around and answer any questions afterwards. So.
These are free too. Feel free to take these if you want more.
I mean, go to their Facebook page and like it.
That's great.
So I'll introduce Lou Wallace now. Lou's going to come up and tell us a little bit about what's going on here in St. Paul, about what the group here in St. Paul is doing. So.
Well, welcome back. I think we've done this very same thing before, but it's got a little bit of a twist to it today. Just kind of dropping off of Carrie's statements, just regular stuff with a little bit of twist to it, huh? So it is a pleasure to host you guys here today. I look forward to seeing more and more of you guys coming to St. Paul, this end of Wise County, always. We want to be hospitable and we want you to come. This is like family, and you are certainly like family because because this is how community starts. And this is what makes communities grow and viable, because we are family, so that's our community. So what I want to talk to you, Danny asked me a little bit about some of the things that he wanted me to address specifically. And as you see, there's a lot of hubbub going on around here. There's construction, there's destruction, there's surveying going on, there's all kinds of wonderful things going on in a little town that was asleep just a couple of years ago. And we were not dead, we were just on life support. And that's what I call it. Much like every other rural community throughout the United States. You can drive anywhere and find a replica of a small town just like this that has ceased to function because other things have left it behind. And I will tell you that we're getting ready, and here's a plug, Becky. We're getting ready to have a summit, our Southwest Virginia Summit, Economic Forum, thank you, at UVA on May the 12th. If you are not signed up, you must go to the website and do so directly. I'm telling you. You are going to be razzle-dazzled and diversified when you walk away from that, because you're going to have a different way of thinking. And I'm going to segue that right in to tell you that's exactly what happened here. A different way of thinking. You're standing in what used to be, in its history, or you're sitting here today in its history, I think a car dealership, right, Jennifer? Is that the history?
It was an Edsel dealership.
Edsel dealership.
Most people
Okay.
know what that is.
So, we took that and it turned into something else, and then it turned into something else, and then in my time was a dime store. So, that was a precursor to a Walmart for all of you guys that are a lot younger than I am. But after that, it turned into an auto parts store. And then along comes the Baileys, and they are certainly visionaries, and you can tell because you're sitting here today, they are visionaries. And so that's the story of this building. But let me take you to another building in town, which is down on what everybody thinks is Main Street, but it's actually 4th Avenue. And 4th Avenue is our Main Street through the center of St. Paul. And there, on a half a block, sits one of the largest structures in the town of St. Paul. And it has been called the St. Paul Apartments from the time that it was built in 1908 until it went to sleep long about maybe as many as 8 years ago. And it continually turned over ownership after ownership after ownership. It was where the elite used to live. It did house some of the finest jewelry stores, floral shops, menswear, women's wear, lingerie, whatever you could think of, millworks that we could buy in New York City. It did have its own telephone system in it. So when you lived upstairs, you could call down to the telephone operator and they would connect you to the rest of town, I guess. And so today, it is called the Western Front Hotel. And you have just heard about the big announcement that came from the governor's office because St. Paul was awarded, or that piece of property was awarded the first ever Virginia Tourism Economic Growth Grant to the tune of about $260,000 or $250,000. Now, before we received that, we did revitalization about 5-6 years ago. We started revitalization project. And so that building was, had a little bit of money put toward it. It had a new roof put on it. And we all the citizens in the town of St. Paul and all the volunteers got together a couple of days and we painted that. The Baileys were involved in that. We were all hanging on ladders. And we had purchased the paint and picked out our own colors that we liked. And so we were down there scraping off Annie's video that Melissa and I just talked about. And so we were working on that to make that building presentable. And 2 years later, we received $1 million grant on that. It was $600,000 in an ARC, which is Appalachian Regional Commission, and $500,000 on an IRF, that's Industrial Revitalization. Those mix of two are federal and state dollars. So all I had was $1.1 million, and I say I because I took ownership of that, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But we had $1.1 million and a building with a new roof. And so Department of Housing and Community Development told us, said, we want you to do the whole building. And Mr. Houchins is sitting over here, he can vouch for everything I'm about to tell you. And we said, where are we going to get enough money to do this building? And it was just craziness. And so one day we said, well, I think, one of us said to the other one, well, I think we might can go to Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Authority and see what we can do. We had to go through the Wise County IDA and Carl Snodgrass and his board. And if any of you all are sitting in here today, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for saying, yes, we support this initiative. And so we took this idea to VCTA and asked for $1 million. Now, this is not a grant. This is a cheap loan, I guess you might say, but it will have to be repaid. And so that left us with some developer property. But in the meantime, let me tell you what happened before we went to VCTA. I got a little bit ahead, and I don't mean to. But State Park, you know all about the State Park that they're proposing. That has become a reality called through the Clutch River Valley Initiative. We're going to work real hard on a Clutch River State Park. I was having an interview done at my building, which is next door to this building, and Jim Conrad, who is now gone on, but he was interviewing me about the state park. And he said during a break, and we talked a lot, and he said during a break, he looked at me and he said, Lou, what are you going to do with that big building down there? And I said, oh, I can tell you right now, it's going to be a boutique hotel. He said, really? Who have you got that's developing this? I said, oh, we don't have anybody. We don't have anybody at all, but in my mind, it's going to be a boutique hotel. Because several years before that, I'm going to pass this around, we, the town of St. Paul volunteers, developed a master plan. We didn't pay an engineering firm. We did it ourselves, along with a graphic and conceptual artist. That's a great friend of ours, a native of Southwest Virginia, and she helped us to develop this. And so one day I was looking at my Southern Living magazine, and I said, that's it. And on that magazine was the Craddock Terry Hotel. The Craddock Terry Hotel is in Lynchburg. It is an old shoe factory that they've redone into this fabulous boutique hotel. You must Google it when you have a chance or on your smartphone. It is wonderful. You got to go stay there. But nonetheless, I threw that down on the table and I said, this is what we want in the Willisburg. This is what it's got to do. Powerful words, by the way, and little did I know. So you fast forward that, never met anybody at the Craddock Terry, did not have a clue who ran the Craddock Terry, but there it was in my Southern Living, and I call it divine intervention. So anyway, pass that around. That's what we, the town of St. Paul volunteers, produced in a master plan. You will see that as it comes around. And so what we did was we put this master plan together and it started churning in our heads. None of us was ever paid to do anything like this, so I want you to know right off, we just have visions and we just follow them through. So if we can't get through the front door or the back door, we'll just bulldoze down the door and go on. So after the great visioning that we had with our plans, I'm getting back to my Jim Conrad story. So I told him, I said, oh, we're going to have a boutique hotel because we designed it, we thought it up. And so nonetheless, he reached down in his pocket. This is all the gospel truth. He reached down in his pocket. He pulled out a business card because he had just interviewed Hal Craddock and the Creative Boutique Hotel team, because they are putting the Sessions Hotel together in Bristol. Surely you've all heard about the Sessions Hotel and all the historic buildings, a 70-room boutique hotel in Bristol that plays off of the country music, the birthplace of country music. They also have put together the Bowling Wilson Hotel with the developer who is not part of their team, but they bought into that. So they put together the Bowling Wilson Hotel in Withville. They've done the Craddock Terry in Lynchburg, and they're working on the Virginian, which is maybe on down the street in Lynchburg. And so he gave me that business card with the name Hal Craddock on it. I laid that business card on my desk, and I looked at it for about 2 weeks. And every day I'd look over at Jim Conrad's fingerprints on that card and go, I need to call them. Yes, I can do this. I picked up the telephone one day. I dialed that telephone number, and I talked to the recording on the other end of the line till it turned me off. And I basically told it, this is Lou Wallace from St. Paul. You do not know me, nor have you ever heard of me or a place called St. Paul. But I have a historic building, $1.1 million, and I've got a great idea. I would love for you to call me. That was it in a nutshell. I told him about the state park. I told him about the ATV trails. I told him everything I could tell him. 2 weeks later, I'm driving down the road, and my cell phone rings. And he says on the other side, hey Lou, this is Hal Craddock. Do you have a moment? And I said, one moment, and let me pull over to the side of the road and scrape myself off the ceiling. That's the first thing I told that man who never knew me from Adam. And he says, talk to me and tell me why. So I talked to him again, and I told him why. And then the next thing I knew, he said, let me see what I can do. 2 weeks after that conversation, Hal says, I'm coming to St. Paul. I'll meet you there at 10 o'clock. How do I get there? And how will I know you're there? And I said, you just come under the underpass, which is the railroad down here. You come up on the other side, and you'll know you've reached our building. He said, okay. So we all gathered up down on the corner and stood there, and everybody looked at their clock and said, oh, it's almost time. How do you know what he looks like? I said, I have no idea, but I think we'll know when he gets here. Exactly 5 minutes after 10 o'clock, a Toyota Prius, pimped out with Craddock Terry all over it, just like Spearhead Trails Jeep. That's exactly what it looks like, but it has Craddock Terry all over it. And he came up through there, and everybody said, well, I guess that's him. So he parked over in the parking lot. We all stood there on the corner, about 15 of us, and we watched him walk across the street. He said, where's Lou Wallace? And I raised my hand, and I said, here I am. And he toured the building, he scoured the building, he walked all over it, he went up on the roof, he came back down, and he said, I think you've got something here. And I said, well, how will we know? And he said, well, I've got to go back and talk to my team. So he goes back and he talks to his team. Now, let me tell you something, folks. This is where marketing, this is where you talk about your community, this is where it ends up all over the Commonwealth of Virginia. And let me tell you what, he went back, he talked to his team, he said, we meet every Friday. He said, I'm going to talk about you all on our conversation this Friday, our partner conversation this Friday. So I found out from the partners when they came to town that they had already heard about St. Paul. Now, do you know how they heard about St. Paul? ATV trails, going out and talking about all of us being involved in Virginia tourism. They were in a branding session. They were in a meeting somewhere in Fairfax, up next to D.C. Arnett Muldrow was doing a branding session. Pam is smiling back here. That's tourism at its finest. And they were doing a branding session in Fairfax, and they were talking about doing a branding session in the Clinch River Valley, and they were talking about a little town called St. Paul. So when Hal Craddock is talking to his partners about, I saw this building in St. Paul, you all need to go look at it, I think it's doable, and they're a fun bunch of people, they're excited, they love that park. And she says, Kimberly Christner with the hospitality end of the hotel development says, I've heard of St. Paul. How have I heard of St. Paul? And so she goes back through her notes, and that's how she had heard of St. Paul and Southwest Virginia and the Clinch River Valley, because she said, I went back and told my husband, said, Nick, we've got to go down there because I think I want to float on that river. So, I'm here to tell you today that $7.3 million later, in 2017, we plan on opening the Western Front Hotel here in St. Paul. It's projected to have a restaurant, full-service restaurant, and a rooftop bar. So there will be activity on the rooftop of the Willis Building. It's a 30-room hotel. It's going to have bunk beds. Yeah. Which is very an Asian idea that's been going on for a long time, and it's going to be introduced into Southwest Virginia. Not that it's going to be an Asian thing. It's going to be a Southwest Virginia thing. It's going to have the, from what I can understand, and a lot of us are being surprised because they want us to be. They want to see that reaction in us. And so anyway, the third floor will be a little more luxurious. That's what I've been told as of Monday. The second floor will be fun. A lot of reclaimed wood, a lot of stone, a railroad motif. Of course, the restaurant has been named Off the Rails. It will have what they call roost areas in it. So if you're on the second floor, staying with friends and family, and you have your own unique room, you will be able to go to a common space in the roost and have sofas and TVs and that sort of thing where you can all hang out. Now I'm going to tell you just a little bit more, and then I'm going to be quiet. The property behind the Willis Building was a blight for us. And we didn't come up with enough revitalization money to work on that blight. Department of Housing and Community Development wanted us to, but we just didn't have the money. They didn't supply us the money, nor did we could come up with extra grant money to come up with the purchase of that property. When the Creative Boutique Hotel came and looked at the Willis Building proper, it only had a parking space behind that building. And again, Hal Craddock looks out the window, and the first thing he sees is a big, huge sign that says, "Beware of dog," not to mention all the blight. And he said, "Beware of dog." And I said, "Is that going to be a problem?" He said, "Well, it could be. We don't want people in the hotel getting bit, do we?" And so he said, "What do you think about the possibility of buying that?" And I said, "Oh, I don't think so. That's been in that gentleman's family since the beginning of time. In fact, that's a historic building on that property. I think I can go back to a picture that I can find that building on that property before I can see the Willis Building." He said, "Really?" Guess what? That goes with the property today. All the buildings that are not contributing to the historic factor of that property, as they call it, will be torn down. Green space, parking space, fire pit, all that good stuff that goes with a hotel will be there. The historic piece that's down there, which is a great big white building with a porch on the side, kind of like a southern style Charleston type home, but it didn't have a porch on it originally. But that will be turned into short stays, much like what's going on here. So it will have a small kitchen. The main hotel will not have kitchen facilities in their rooms. They will just be regular rooms. But this one will have a little bit different element. So that's the story of how we got a hotel, and that's the story of the money, the way it's stacked up. And stay tuned, because more to come. on the big building and almost $1 million of historic tax credits on the little building. So there's $3 million and almost $3 million. I'm rounding a lot, but there's almost $3 million in historic tax credits. So when you see a building that looks decrepit in your town or your community or wherever in Wise County, Southwest Virginia, you better start reimagining, because there's wonderful things in that building that can be something special. And I want you to ask that question, would you, Melissa?
Goodness, which one was it? Whether St. Paul owns the building?
No,
We lost it, but I want you to tell them about your building and how it's going to belong to my building.
Yeah, First Bank and Trust, if you've ever tried to come to the Norton office and the drive-through window was wrapped around and dangling out to the road, that will soon be no more. We have been able to purchase the little blue house that is the property beside of us, which is a lovely home, but it will soon become part of a very nice parking lot, which will allow us to expand our entrance. But because we hated the thought of, demolishing a beautiful old home, we've had folks from St. Paul come in and take out old doors. We've been able to work with MB contractors who have came in and looked at hardware and looked at little fixtures and small elements within the house and determined that that will help them meet their historic tax credit purposes for here. So we've been able to donate to the town of St. Paul all of the functional, usable items within that home. And I know that Spearhead Trails, with the Spearhead Trailblazers, they had found some items that they were going to be able to use. MB contractors, and then some very lovely doors went to the Lyric Theater project because they would fit the needs there. But we've been able to donate, so it's just helping with the whole revitalization and repurposing. So.
And thank you, it's beautiful. We hate to lose that beautiful home, but at least we are saving a piece or two of history.
Yes. The good bones have been to a good home.
That's right. Thanks, Lisa. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Oh, Lou, I got two questions.
Oh, that's easy.
I knew Dan would.
The first one is, if we're going to open it in 2017, I mean, there's going to have to be construction starting pretty soon.
Oh, they're down there
Are
now.
they down there?
Yeah.
And that's Craddock Terry doing all of that work, right?
That is Creative Boutique Hotel.
Okay.
And the Creative Boutique Hotel team is 3 parts. It is an architect, it is a contractor, and it is a hotelier. So it's the whole 3 things, and they all work together. Now, they do things on their own, but they did the Craddock Terry. And so Hal Craddock was the owner of, or an inheritor of, that shoe factory, and he reimagined it. And so that's basically what we're doing here. So when you reimagine a place to be something else and make it creative, that's going to be a draw in itself. And so we feel like that everybody is going to feed off of the draw that this team is putting together, because they're very well known and they're very much in demand. People are calling them and saying, I got this building, I got this building, I got this idea. And of course they cannot go very far because they're a small team and they are basically based in Virginia.
My last question is, I got so many, but I'm out of time.
I'm sorry, I took too long.
Next door, no, you did great. I mean, it's just great things. I'm just so impressed with the way you all did all this work for free, volunteer, got together, had a vision, and then things start to happen. It's a great lesson for all of us. But the question I have is about next door in the Lyric Theater, just because I've been a little out of the loop. What's the latest? I know we got a roof on there. You mentioned some other
That have
historic doors.
We have doors.
The idea there is to eventually have some type of performance center, right?
Yes. Okay, Danny wants to know what's going to happen with the Lyric Theater. Well, let me tell you, we've learned a very good lesson being volunteers and being very cognizant of the money that we've been given. We can stretch $1 like you have never stretched $1. So we talk to a lot of people about theaters, and they say theaters are great sucking sounds on your community. They're like almost a black hole that you just keep throwing money down and throwing money down. And so we said, well, we can't have that because we're not saddling the citizens with that. And so You know, St. Paul became a Virginia Main Street a couple of years ago, and I think I give you all the information on that. Because we were a Virginia Main Street, we had access to an architect to give us some preliminary plans. Through those preliminary plans, and she's very astute in historic tax credits. Now remember, historic tax credits, without those, we cannot put anything back together. We couldn't afford to do all this. So anyway, she was very cognizant of the historic tax credits. Through that process, with that preliminary, we were able to secure a $25,000 grant, again through Virginia Main Street, and we were able to hire a grant writer for a feasibility study, because we got this money for a feasibility study. So she is a grant writer, but she helped us write our feasibility study. And so through all that, we did all the legwork here and fed to her. She was up in the Stanton area. And so we fed to her all the information. And then we took it to Department of Housing and Community Development and said, will this work? And they said, this is the only way it'll work. So we programmed the Lyric, and I'm going to tell you what it's going to have. Because the Lyric has a performance stage in it, we're going to have performances of live music. It's not just a movie theater any longer, and it started out to have minstrel shows in it anyway. And so there was a big furnace room behind the stage, and we've transformed that, in their mind, into a green room. So that will be able to have folks coming and going for performances. We also got an approval to take the balcony area and leave it as it is, because it is unique. It's got the concrete steps in the balcony. And so we're leaving that as it is, but we're walling it off and allowing for small conferences to happen there. And because we have to be ADA compliant and all that, the front of the wall curves. When you come through the theater, it curves. So we couldn't lose, historically, we couldn't lose the curvature of that wall. But what we did is we come further out. It's a 600-seat theater, by the way. And so we are downsizing it to a 300 or a 325-seat theater. But what we're doing is, when we pushed it out to make bathroom space, that enlarges a little bit of the balcony area. And so historic tax credit says as long as you use that, as long as you don't put up the permanent walls, that it's still going to pass. So what's going to happen is we're going to have movable glass walls. So they'll just kind of fold in or whatever. And so when a performance allows, we will open up all that entire area. It'll still be much like it is today, but it will be able to have environmental ed. We're working on an environmental ed center and the idea of teaching throughout the whole valley. And how beautiful can it be when you can come to a centralized place and study and have a professor speak to you in a manner of an auditorium style. So we have programmed it. We've got letters from the Barter Theater that says, yes, we're interested in bringing Barter further into the mountains. And we've talked to Pro Arts. Yes, we need a theater to use. We've worked with Ben Mays. Yes, he needs a theater at the college. You know, he takes his little theater troupe around. So we've partnered up and we've searched for partners. And so that's how we're going to try to make it happen. We're looking for another entity that might want to be housed there to be our official caretakers of that facility. So it won't be run by volunteers. So that's kind of the scoop on that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Sorry, I took too long.
Thank you very much, Lou. I always count on Dan to ask about 12 questions. Just 12. We'll go ahead and move on to our agenda. We'll go through that real quick in lieu of everybody's time. Economic Affairs, Dan, do you have anything?
Well, I'll just report for James briefly, but we did have a nice meeting at Mr. Gaddy's, and thanks to Paul for hosting us and also giving us a chamber discount that day. Appreciate it. And it's really a nice place to have a nice small group meeting, so if you guys think about it, we'll get back and help with Mr. Gaddy's into the wines. And our speaker was Adam Wells, who talked us about some of the things he's doing with trying to clean up some of the old mine sites up on top of the mountains and how he ties that into economic development issues. Pretty interesting conversation. But I do want to report the big thing that's coming up is in your packet. It's about almost to the back. Last page. It's the Business Appreciation Awards Luncheon, and that's going to be May 19th, hosted by Wise County IDA and City of Norton IDA. And our keynote speaker is Carl Knobloch, who's from the U.S. Small Business Administration. So, at that event, we'll be making awards to the Small Business of the Year in our county. We'll be making awards to other businesses that have made significant economic improvement or bringing new jobs to the county, and a couple other special recognitions. And I will let my friend Rick fill in any blanks I need.
The only other couple things I wanted to mention, James Lawson, as the chairman of our Economic Development Committee, James called me about 30 minutes before I came over here and said, I'm at home with a stomach bug. So I told him to stay home, stay away. But James has been having like a little economic ideas roundtable of the evenings, some Tuesday evenings back in January, February. Since we're into our meetings now, he's going to start doing those on the first Wednesday of every month. So there'll be one next Wednesday at the tap room at the Inn at Wise. It'll be from 5:30 to 6:30. Only an hour. That's as long as you ever have it. It's just a chance to get together and throw around ideas. Also, Amy Greer, who works for Mountain Empire Community College, sends the chamber and it's got a big list on her list that she sends out. Just in case you all didn't know, Mountain Empire won an award from the Virginia Community College system recently. They actually won the award for excellence in education, and it's for the development of the mobile solar energy unit at Mountain Empire. So it's a very, very interesting project, and maybe we'll get Dr. Hamilton to come speak to us one day about it, or maybe have one of our next meetings down there.
That'd be great. You're welcome.
But congratulations to Mountain Empire, big award from BCCS. As far as travel and tourism, just a little quick something, great things that are in St. Paul. We got a bunch of festivals and everything coming up. Queen's River Days, Gathering in the Gap in Big Stone. You've got Pound Heritage Days, the Kentucky District Fair, you've got the Best Friend Festival. A lot of things that are getting ready to go on in this months of May and June and July. Children grilling wise. So a lot of things that are going on. But also asked Pam Vance to just say a few words from Heart of Appalachia. That comes from Kitty asked me to say anything.
No, she didn't ask me to say anything, but I can tell you that there's a lot of exciting things going on in the region. And specifically with the Heart of Appalachia, we're expanding our marketing capabilities. We're working with Crescita right now to expand some of our opportunities. And it's been really busy.
And for those of y'all who have not been here at St. Paul, Heart of Appalachia Business Center is just right over the,
Right behind this building is
Right next to the
the
market.
Historic Tillman House.
right next to the market, the farmer's market. Market, I think it's Market Square.
Our what is your mission of the Heart of Appalachia? Is to develop and expand tourism throughout the 7 Coalfield counties and the city of Norton.
And Kitty Barker is now the executive director of the Heart of Appalachia. Kitty couldn't be here today. And Kitty's also helping us out with our leadership program. She's actually doing the program this coming Monday at the wetlands. So I always get that. Espanola Wetlands, which is up next to the St. Paul High School, and the elementary school that run off the parking lot. So they should be doing that there. Also, you've probably seen an email floating around. Actually, the email went out to, James wanted me to report this, the email went out to UVA Wise alumni about an information session that's coming up on Monday for a call center company that's coming in. So that'll be on Monday. If any of you all are UVA Wise alumni and you'd like to attend that, be sure and contact UVA Wise to reserve you an area. I think it's going to be there at M College in the Alumni Hall.
put together an actual curriculum that would run through the summer, that would focus on advanced skills in operating all the software programs made by the software company Intuit, such as QuickBooks, Quicken and so forth. TurboTax, exactly, all those software. And also that curriculum that we all know pretty quickly will also include a refresher in basics and principles of accounting. Anybody who completes that program, which is due to start around the middle of May, will be guaranteed an interview. They can't be guaranteed a position, but they absolutely will be guaranteed an interview with that company. And so, Frank, all the folks down at Mount Green Park, let's contacts on that. If you know anybody through Facebook, through families, through friends, and young folks, and semi-retired folks, anybody who might be interested in that, suggest it to us.
And I don't think they've actually said a job fair yet. They're targeted.
No, that won't be until some kind of official with a name that's actually.
This is already made and advertised.
Well, it's been, you know,
Well, I don't know so much about this project from my experience in other projects. What the company's going to be looking for is a large number, as many qualified people as they can see. So try to get people out to these events the best you can, because that'll help the decision making along. Definitely. So, but no Crutchfield people.
When's that date?
No
again?
Crutchfield.
Come on, kind of people, no proselytizing. This coming Monday at the alumni hall, what time?
It's 5:30 at the alumni hall.
So I can get my alumni to go.
Yes. But then they'll need actually to call today if they want to see, make sure they get a seat, because there is limited seating in that alumni hall. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to public affairs. Dick, do you have anything?
The only thing on infrastructure, you've heard me talk about the new roadway between Library Hill and the Walmart Shopping Center. That's scheduled to start construction next week. Estes Brothers, who is a local contractor, got that bid.
Robert Estes.
It's going to take about 18 months to build. It's going to be a colossal mess. I would recommend you go around the other way and not try to drive through it. But it will be a huge improvement for the area once that's done.
Do you know what they're going to do on that right side where now we can see everything down there?
I'm not sure how that's all done, and I've not seen the plans. Really don't have anything new on government affairs, but Reason, do you have anything on the scholarship?
Yeah, we extended the deadline to get an opportunity to have more applicants, and so we'll present those awards in May. We'll present the 3 awards at our May meeting.
So if anybody knows of any high school seniors, it's free money either at Mountain Empire or UVA-wide, so please contact the chamber. That's all I got. I don't have to excuse me, so I got to thanks to you.
And government affairs, if you live in any of the towns, get out and vote next Tuesday.
Yeah.
You got all the towns have elections next Tuesday. County community affairs, Kim.
Best Friend Festival.
Basically in the process of planning and everything, about got everything kind of situated. Our entertainment for Friday night, we haven't put out a press release yet, but our entertainment's going to be a little bit of a mix of old and new. We got a new band called The Wake, which is Andy Kilgore from Wise and her group is going to play. And then we've got a group called Shades of Grey. That group is headed by Frankie Bradley. He's got his band back together. But he had back in the 70s and 80s.
Putting the band back together.
That's what I told him. He's got the band back together. He didn't want to use his bands. One of his bands used to be Paradise. He didn't want to use that name. So they all got together and so they all were great. And so they started using Shades of Grey.
Then moving into next year.
That's a resource awareness day. We've got those days scheduled with the school, so we're moving forward with that. And then,
We're just about to wind down with the leadership building. We've got 4 sessions left, and we graduate them on the 26th, the next regular board meeting. Is this the forward wise, Karen?
And for those of you who came and just, you know, were there that night and didn't see behind the scenes, the people that I just called their names, they worked. And I'm telling you, they put in so much of their time, and they don't get the accolades that they really deserve. And also to all of you that are business owners who donated to us, thank you, because you all also made it successful. We could not have done the auction and all of that without your support and help. So we thank you for your continued support. Appreciate all you did. Thank our president, Henrietta, for all of her work as well. And it was successful. That's all I have to say.
I'll add a little bit to some of the old business, so I'll go ahead and do that. Big thank you to our table sponsors, Town of Big Stone, Wise County, Crutchfield, First Bacon Trust, Food City, Miami Change Bank, New People's Bank, North Community Hospital, Nevada National Bank, Town of St. Paul, Town of Wise, UVA Wise, and the Wellmont Health System. To our corporate sponsors, CSE Insurance and Sites, decoration and reception sponsors, First Choice Home Health, and Old Dominion Power. Terry Short did our pictures. Dance and music was provided by Freddie Bradley. Disc jockey centerpieces that you were talking about were done by Gail McKeithen. And the video was done by our own Ernie Vito and ARC. So thank you very much. I actually was passing around your picture in that book that you put together for us, so everybody was looking at it. Bob Isaac won the President's Award. It was a great award for him. He was very, very humble by it. Teresa Gardner, Paul Mead won the Distinguished Service Award, and Tim Cox won our Citizen of the Year. So let's go ahead and move on to old business. We talked about that. Outstanding Ford Wise County Alumni Award, also given during the May 26th meeting of our commencement. If you have anybody that you know that has been in the Ford Wise County Leadership Program, we always give them an alumni award to recognize somebody who's been a part of the community and really went above and beyond as part of the Fort Wise County program. If you want a list of our Fort Wise County program graduates, they're about 448 strong. So just let me and Amanda know. It's hard to make copies for everybody, so just sell out and we'll let you know. Anybody have any other old business? New business, ribbon cutting ceremony and open house at the Southwest Virginia Advanced Manufacturing Center of Excellence. The Center of Excellence is at Anaheim, it's behind Virginia Highlands. But the satellite areas are at Duffield and Bluefield. And they're doing ribbon cuttings at those satellite sites. You'll find a flyer in your packet. That is on May the 10th, the one in Duffield. And it's actually from 9 to 12. They'll be doing open house and tours and things. The ribbon cutting will be at 10 o'clock in the evening. So that's on there. And we encourage everybody to come out to that.
Is that like a physical ribbon cutting, or are they starting classes, or, you know?
Yeah, they've got welding lab and some other things in there. They're going to be doing advanced training in there for
So this is when they start the training programs?
It probably will start on May the 10th. Everyone can come through and see what's available. And if there's demands, they will work through the demands.
I got it.
Southwest Virginia Economic Forum, we've already had that mentioned already. That's on May the 14th. Wonderful opportunity. We got Becky, May 12th, I'm sorry, May 12th. And actually, we've got Becky Joyce who's been working a lot with the UVA Rise. We want to share anything else, how it's going?
Sure.
Registration.
Actually, we just finally tied up the whole agenda today. Our last speaker of the day is going to be Mary Tricciani, which is Adriana Tricciani's sister. She works in technology in Silicon Valley, and so she'll be coming in to be our final keynote speaker. The morning speakers are Matt Erskine, Assistant U.S. Deputy Secretary to the U.S. Economic Development Dunlap is the Economic Development Director for American Electric Power, and he'll focus on energy. And Mike Hurst, Mike is actually graduated from Pound, Virginia, but he has a software company called ARMS Software, which is an athletic software, and he has a holding company. He'll be coming back, and of course, his expertise will be technology. So that panel will be discussing what are some of the emerging trends that they're seeing that our region should take note of as we're looking to either entrepreneurs or new businesses or business attraction. And then at lunch, Thomas Frame is a futurist speaker who will be speaking. We had a great conversation with him last week. He's very excited about coming into the region. He's going to have a high-level overview of some of the things that he's seeing, but what should our region really be focusing on as well. And then in the afternoon, we'll have breakout sessions that we really need everyone possible there. We need a mixture of business, faith-based, community-based, community organizations, education, healthcare, to be involved, because we've hired facilitators. I don't know if you're familiar with Christine Goyve, who helps facilitate the Clinch River Valley Initiative, but she's training our facilitators right now, and these will not be go into it, have a panel, or have a panel discussion, or have people speak. It's created to have action come out of these breakout sessions, so that we will actually identify some actions there on the fly that we can take and all regionally begin to work on. It's a regional collaboration. We've had a planning team that's been meeting since January, late January. Lou's on that team. An advisory team that's been keeping track of what we're doing. Karen is on the advisory team. And we'll give some facts of what's going on, just a current state of the Southwest Virginia that day, and that's going to be Dan will be doing that. Our MC for the day will be Ben Muldrow with Arnett Muldrow, who's doing branding. He's come down, he's visited the region, been in the region for a while, and Karen's fallen in love with this region, so he'll be a great MC. So we have a good day. We know it's going to be a long day, but we'd like you to register. It's UVA-Wise/Economic Forum. We have a Facebook page, 2016 Southwest Virginia Economic Forum, and a group on LinkedIn. So somehow you'll find us if you want to see what's going on. We're keeping everything updated, and you'll see some things in the paper. And you're more than welcome to ask me if you have more questions.
And there is a flyer attached to the back of your packet also.
Yes.
So anybody that you know, get it out to.
Did you say Mike Hurt
Yes.
from Radford, play baseball with Mike Hurt? He graduated from Cal. I think he was
He did graduate from Jacob.
real big with getting Thompson Lake over. Dick, there you can tell more about it. Big baseball player.
He has a passion for this region.
We didn't be breaking things like that back then, for sure. Anybody have any other questions? Any other new business? Just, if you could, the announcements that are in your packet, just go down through there and notice those. Again, some of those I've already mentioned, some of the things that get ready to go on in May and in June. One thing I had mentioned before, the Southwest Virginia Technology Council, their annual gala is in June 16th. If you have never had a chance to go to their gala, it's a very nice gala. They honor some businesses that are regionally. And I think they've got a web page, and they've got, you can go on there and kind of.
And there's speakers from NASA.
Yeah, and there's the latest thing, keynote speaker is Dr. Richard Ancliffe, who's the chief strategist, chief technologist for NASA. So it's going to be a really interesting keynote.
And also during that day, I haven't got a whole lot of details yet, but Jeff Kennedy's put together an agenda for the, I think the evening before and maybe that day before the gala. The gentleman's going to be available, and we're going to do some sessions with him. So the chamber may be somewhat involved in that, helping kind of a little bit of a sponsorship in that also. But more information will come out on that pretty soon in the next couple weeks. I'm supposed to call Andy Kilgore back this afternoon and talk to her about that a little bit. And we just put our chamber golf tournament on there, update everybody. It's October 6th. Next two meetings we've got for our chamber is our executive committee meeting on the 24th, and again the 26th, which is our regular Also, make sure you go down through and look at your dates, any of those dates, and then you look at your members. Does anybody have any other questions or comments about it?
I just have a question. They mentioned the Oxbow Center.
Yes.
What's going on with the Oxbow?
The Oxbow Center is, it's not been much in it for a long time. They've been looking for somebody to actually take the building over, the building, and actually UVA Wise agreed to take over the building. And they're in the process of developing a plan for that building. I'm not specifically sure the actual details of what they're all going to do in the building. But UVA Wise, we'll be using that building sort of like a satellite and some different programs. The building is going to be used, which is a great thing. It's a great building.
It's a beautiful building. It's always been a beautiful building.
And some of the stuff that's kind of center around some of the tourism in St. Paul area also. Development.
I think it's going to be a combination of environmental education, entrepreneurship, and tourism is what they're shooting for.
Great thing as far as being available and right close to the St. River, close to the ATV trails, and just to put a plug out there for Spearhead Trails. My old home grounds over in Hayside, they just opened up their newest trailhead in Hayside. It's starting to get rolling there, and starting the process. Hopefully sometime in the summer they'll have that completed over there. So a lot of good things going on with Spearhead also. Does anybody have anything else? If not, again, let's give Sugar Hill Brewery a big hand for hosting us today.